Hey guys, if you're getting this video in an email, it's because I'm not quite sure you're all that clear on the concept of keyword searching. Now, I figured what I'd do instead of just trying to comment back was make this little video and hopefully make it a little clearer for you. Okay, we're going to start at the beginning, and what we're going to do is talk about the first thing you do in research, which is create a research statement. For the purposes of this exercise, I'm going to use the death penalty does not deter crime. Now, I've underlined the two main points of this research statement, death penalty and crime. So these will be the two main points of what my research focuses on. All the other words, the, does, not, deter, are a little less important when doing research. So this is kind of what we're focusing on. So death penalty, crime. Now, when making a list of alternative keywords, what I want to do is come up with words that essentially mean the same thing as death penalty and crime, because not everybody explains things the same way. You know, one person says teenager, another says adolescent. And so what you want to do by building an alternative keywords list is give yourself as many opportunities as possible to find articles that make sense. Okay, so I came up with a list of alternative keywords. Death penalty could also be capital punishment, could also be death sentence. Crime could also be lawlessness. Okay, so do you see what I did there? I didn't come up necessarily with vague kind of things. You know, these are words that definitely mean the same thing. So those are my alternative keywords. Next, what we could do is truncate them. Now, truncation is a tool that we can use that will give us the ability to look for multiple endings to the same word. So for example, if I have the word teen and I truncate it, as I've done, you get teen, teens, teenage, teenager, and teenagers. But what you also have to pay attention to is that sometimes truncation can throw you off. So if you see over here, I've truncated the word family down to fam, and what I'm getting is fam, or fame, famine, famous, family. I'd get all sorts of things, but it wouldn't always make sense. So that's something you want to pay attention to as well. And so if I'm talking about words that I can truncate off of my list, we really only have two. And I would say those are crime and lawlessness. Death penalty is death penalty, capital punishment is capital punishment, same with death sentence. But you can truncate crime and lawlessness. And so what I've done is I've truncated crime at the M, and you'll see that brings back crime, crimes, criminal, and criminality. I can also truncate lawless and get lawless as well as lawlessness. Okay, so do you guys see what that does and see how that works? Okay, so that's truncation. The next thing we want to do is talk about Boolean. Boolean logic is three words, and it's and, it's or, and it's not. Okay, so if I start with and, if I say and, what I'm saying is I want articles that have to do with dogs and cats. So everything where those circles overlap is where I'll find the articles. So only articles that have to do with dogs and cats are what I'm going to get with a search that says dogs and cats. The second Boolean operator is or. And so what I'm seeing here is that if I do a search for dogs or cats, then I'm going to get articles about dogs, I'm going to get articles about dogs and cats, and I'm going to get articles about cats. So essentially all of the circles are filled in because I'm going to get everything. The last one is not. Okay, so if I did a search for dogs, not cats, I would get just articles on dogs. I would not get articles about dogs that were like something about cats, and I wouldn't get any articles about cats. And so that's not. We generally use not sparingly. I tend to think of not as something to use when I see something in my search results that doesn't make a lot of sense. So if, for example, I did a search once on juveniles who were given the death penalty, and I would search for, you know, juveniles or teenager and death penalty, or capital punishment, and what I would end up getting is a lot of articles on pedophiles. And so in that, it would be an instance where I would use not to get rid of articles about pedophiles, because that's not what I was interested in. Okay, now nesting is where it gets a little bit more complicated. And nesting, I want you to think about it as like terms grouped together with like terms connected by a Boolean operator and. And so you'll have your synonyms in one nest, your other synonyms in another nest, and you connect them like that. Okay, so that's how that looks, just kind of like that. So if I have my list of alternative keywords, what I'm thinking of is everything under the death penalty list is a like term, right? All of these are the same synonyms. And so what I would do is I would say death penalty or capital punishment or death sentence, because essentially what I'm saying is you could take one of these terms and substitute it with any other one, and I would be fine with that because they mean the same thing. Now in crime, it would be crime or lawlessness. Now with the parentheses, what you want to do is say, okay, I'm going to put all of these terms in one parentheses and all in these terms in another parentheses with the Boolean or and connect them with and. And so your end result is going to look like this. Death penalty or capital punishment or death sentence in parentheses, and crime or lawless, both truncated, in parentheses. You'll notice that I put quotes around the two-word phrases because that's what you do in EBSCO to find two-word phrases. That's just kind of an example of how you would search, and essentially what you would do is start typing here and just fill that all in, put that in the database, and that is what you'd see. Now, let's see if this works. Ho ho ho, that's pretty psychedelic, huh? Okay, so if we go to the Chambers Library, go to articles/databases to academic search complete, what I would do is begin typing here and type all that in, and that is essentially what I would do with that search. Now, if you have any questions, feel free to email me and let me know what you think. And if you have any further questions, and we'll go from there. So back to the psychedelic, and I hope that clears some things up. All right, have a good one.